Hi, welcome to Talk About the Passion. I'm your host, Christian Campagna, and this is hopefully the first of many video episodes of this podcasting I'm going to start doing. My first guest in the video series here is Brian Brannon of JFA, Jodie Foster's Army, who I've been a huge fan of since I was, 14 years old, so over 40 years now. And his music was big to me as a skater, as a teenager, along with Dead Kennedys and Agent Orange and DI, the Adolescents, that kind of stuff. So it was cool to have him on here. He's a really cool guy. He's a great storyteller. And yeah, you'll love this interview. So with that said, let's move on because you didn't come here to stare at me. If you do like what you hear and see here, please subscribe. There'll be more of these. And there's also an audio version of this podcast, which is mostly what I concentrate on. But I'll have links here, and this channel will be new. And yeah, so thanks again to Brian Brannon for doing this, and yeah, enjoy what you see. Yeah, so thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%, man. Thanks for doing this.
yeah, yeah. Um, a lot of the people I've had on here, especially like a little bit younger than me, it seems like a theme as they discover a lot of music, punk music through the skate videos. A lot of the stuff that from the '80s and '90s. When you started skating, was music like an important part of when you guys were hanging out and skating?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on when you're asking when I started skating, because I started skating when I was probably about 5 years old.
Yeah,
Got a the urethane wheels had come out then, but when the store we went to had the Black Knight, and I liked the graphic of the knight with
right,
you know the pole and on shining armor on a horse. So I
right,
went with the clay wheels, which really didn't matter because I was five.
right.
But yeah, my thing at that point, I mean, I've been skating, like I say, since I was five. So that's like 20 years, man.
Yeah,
You know, like 20
yeah, yeah,
decades,
yeah.
man. That's a long time.
2025. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. But so that was just pushing down the driveway, you know, uh started on laying down, pushing with my hands.
yeah.
Then I sat down, pushed with my hands, and I went backwards, pushed with my hands, and I uh did a new uh technique where I held the nose of the thing and ran alongside really quick, and then got on my knee and pushed with my one knee, with my
Right.
left knee, which I think that's what made me an official goofy foot, because I was
Oh,
pushing with
okay.
my left leg, so I was going Mach 5, like I'm, Captain Kirk on the USS Enterprise or something. So, at that point, there wasn't too much music
Yeah.
other than just what I was hearing in the radio, which was probably like Sir Duke by Stevie Wonder, which was my theme song.
Oh, yeah.
But when I got into my rough and tumbling teen years, and I was one of two punk rockers at Saguaro High School in Scottsdale, Arizona,
Yeah.
and everybody else were jocks, shit kickers. Uh, I think that was about it.
Yeah.
Or,
Preppies.
yeah, preppies, yeah,
Yeah.
which is same thing. So, yeah, no, we were into music back then, and it was just like whatever there was.
Yeah.
Clash, Pistols, uh, Dead Kennedys. First album I got with them on it was Live from the Death Club in San Francisco, which is
Okay.
a really great version of Police Truck if you can find it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Flyboys started getting into some, beach punk music, because that had a lot of good energy,
Yeah.
for skateboarding, the SoCal
Yeah.
punk rock, Circle Jerks, Germs,
Yeah.
uh, China White, Flyboys, Adolescents, Black Flag.
Yeah.
So that was, when I would get in a fight with all the jocks, I would
Yeah.
have a nervous breakdown going in my head, just to
Yeah. Of
kind of
course.
keep me going, you
Yeah, yeah,
know,
of course.
because that's what it was. I mean, it was rough and tumble, you know, like
Yeah.
they didn't. No one liked skateboarders. No one
Oh
liked
yeah.
punk rockers.
Yeah.
You know, no one liked anybody that was different then. So,
Yeah.
you know, we all kind of had to stick together, and there was only two of us.
Yeah. 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 I know. My town was like that too. There was a few of us and you got called a faggot or, whatever and just the
Oh
pussy
yeah,
and it was the same and that's.
like yeah, whip it, Devo.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So how does music make its way out there? Was there a cool record shops around there?
Yeah, well, I mean, we had a skate park there for a while. It was called High Roller in Phoenix, and you know that had a good mix of music,
Yeah.
which was kind of you know, a good uh invitation to understand that it doesn't really all have to be punk. It just has to be, you know, good music that'll push you.
Yeah.
So, you know, they had some Led Zeppelin and I don't know, Black Sabbath, whatever, but then some Ramones or some Pistols or something,
Yeah.
you know,
Mhm.
and just really get it going. And it, you know, it's more just kind of like the vibe, the people that you're with, you know, that they're not fake. You know,
Yeah.
that was the
Yeah. Yeah.
problem with all that other stuff. Is like, dude, you're not a friggin' cowboy.
Right.
You don't even have a cow. You got the
Exactly.
boy part.
All right.
You got the boy part
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
But you know, and whatever else, man. So but you know, we were skaters 100%. You know, we're like we that's we lived and died by that stuff, you know, and then we were willing to friggin' take the fall to make that error or whatever, you know. So that was the real thing, and that was the thing that kind of brought us all together into punk. Is like,
Yeah.
you know, if you're gonna walk around downtown Phoenix in the early '80s
Yeah.
with a friggin' mohawk, you better be pretty solid in your convictions that
Yeah.
you want to be a punk rocker because you're gonna be tested on that shit, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, so that was a good thing. Like people are like, well, what do you like better? Do you like it how it, you know, back in the day, or do you like how it is now? You know, and they want me to say, oh, I liked it better back in the day, which
Right.
I did. I mean, I liked it,
Yeah.
but I mean the difference is you know, back in the day, if you saw someone who was a punk, you saw someone who was a skateboarder, you knew they were like 100% committed to it, like they were
Yeah.
into it. They
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
didn't they didn't just go buy, you know, buy it down at the corner store,
Right.
you know, at the Walmart or
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever, and just, you know, get dressed it up. They made that stuff by hand, or they
Yeah.
went to the thrift store, and you know, no one looked the same,
Right.
and you could like, you know, any kind of different band. It just as long as it's real, you know,
Yeah.
and you know, punk rock back then, you had like this weird art music. You had
Mm.
industrial music, which is sounded like what it's named, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
You had all this kind of different stuff, and it didn't matter. Like that was the point, you
Yeah.
know, was that it was different. There's
Yeah.
no single mold to it. So that was the thing. Like when you saw somebody, you know, you just accept them like, hey man, what's up?
Yeah.
What are you into? And you would
Yeah.
probably find out something that you'd never heard of before, but it was good. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, but now if you look at it, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of people out there that are into it that are, you know, probably some posers out there, a good amount of them, whatever.
Yeah.
But you know, there's better show. I mean, not better show. There's bigger shows.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, there's if you're a skateboarder, you know, and you're going hard, you can maybe even get paid. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
like you know, possibly breaking your head open on the
Yeah.
concrete. So you know, and there's skate parks everywhere. You know, we're not having to jump
Yeah.
over fences and you know run from grandmothers with friggin' machetes
Yeah. Yeah.
in their backyards. You know, or have the cops called on them. You just show up at the skate park. Oh, I got to wear a helmet.
Yeah.
I guess, you know, I mean, it's pretty good pool you got here. So, you know,
Right.
um, so you just got to take stuff as it comes, you know, like you know, I joined JFA when I was 14.
Yeah.
Um, so that was about like what, 11 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've been in for pretty long,
Yeah.
but, you know, we were touring the country, like pretty
Yeah.
much right off.
Yeah.
And we had our own, International Harvester, 1965 school bus painted dark
Yeah.
green. And when you saw that big green machine coming into town, you know
Yeah.
JFA was coming,
Yeah.
and we're here for your skate spots. So freaking have them ready,
Yeah.
clean that shit, sweep that shit out, you
Yeah.
know. Um, but being on the road for a while, as a kid, like you get excited about it, but then you're on the road and you're all of a sudden dealing with the reality. Well, we're driving for another 5, 6, 8 hours after this,
Yeah.
sleeping on the bus bench or whatever. We
Yeah.
have peanut butter and jelly. We have government cheese, and we have top ramen.
Yeah.
So that's what we've had the past 12 nights. So
Right.
you know, and after a while, you get kind of like, oh man, I wish I was back home.
Yeah.
And and then you get back home and you start getting bored with being home, right?
Yeah.
I want
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
go back on the road. I'm sick of all this same stuff. So I did that about 2 or 3 cycles.
Yeah.
And at one point, I think we were just, it was a hot day in DC, and
Hmm.
we were on top of the roof of the bus, just, getting some sun, just trying to cool down.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, this sucks. It's hot. And I look around, I'm in friggin' Washington, DC, man. We're going to meet a bunch of dudes to go skate.
Right.
Life's not that bad.
Right.
You can sit there and you can cry about, like, oh, I don't have good internet connection,
Oh, right. I know.
or
I know. Right.
whatever it is. Or you can
Yeah.
be like, what the hell? I can do whatever I want. I can call my friend. I
Right.
can go skate. So I mean, that was a kind of a turning point for me,
Yeah.
and just appreciating, who I'm with or what I'm
Yeah.
doing, or just making the most out of stuff. Because, it's you take that stuff for granted.
Yeah.
But when you go from like different situations and you realize you're missing one thing at one place that has all this other cool stuff, and then you get home and you're missing all that other cool stuff, but you're with a place where you were missing before. It's
Yeah.
like, wait a second, and it's like, I can be a jerk. I mean, I know it's hard to believe, but I can be grouchy,
Yeah.
ask my wife, she'll tell you. And it's like, people come up to you and they just want to meet you, even if it's just some random dude that,
Right.
knows nothing. Like, why not open up to him? Why not like appreciate it and listen to
Yeah.
him, and
Yeah. Yeah.
not bring some bad energy to it? And like, oh, look at this guy's shoes. Oh my
Right. Right.
God. You
Yeah.
know? So, I mean, that's something I have to constantly remind myself, because I got a lot of shit going on, and
Yeah. Yeah.
I get kind of like, burned out, or
Hmm.
I'm thinking about this other thing I got to do.
Yeah.
But that's something I really try and do, because I mean, in one way or another, pretty much everyone's a punk rocker,
Yeah.
unless you're just a really big sellout and your whole
Right.
life
Right.
is about, just lying
Trying
and
to
shit.
get money and
Yeah, and if that's who you are, then good for you, man. You go over there. I'm going to
yeah.
talk to this guy over here. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So you're on tour at how old were you at that point? Probably
Like,
17, 18?
well, started playing at 14, so 15, 16, 17,
Yeah.
18, 19, 20.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and these guys are your good friends, but from back home.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah. Like we
so that
were,
must have been
yeah.
a cool. How did you guys they were already a band, right? They kind of tapped you to sing.
Yeah, I mean, the idea of the band was there. I was the last one to come into the band, but we hadn't practiced yet,
Mm-hmm.
So, Don and our guitar player and Michael Cornelius, our bass player, kind of had the idea,
Mm-hmm.
and they were the two older ones,
Yeah.
and then they got Bam Bam Michael Sviersvold, who, like, friggin' best punk rock drummer
Right?
ever. And
Yeah.
I've known, like, that's a bold statement, Cotton.
No,
But I mean, if you saw him play with us back in the early 80s,
yeah.
83, 84, 85, you would be hard pressed to say
Yeah.
no. I mean, there's
Yeah.
some other great drummers for
Yeah.
sure, Chuck
Yeah.
Biscuits, Rat Scabies, but I mean,
Yeah.
he was right there.
Oh yeah.
And so yeah, so they brought him in, and then they needed someone who could scream, and that's all they wanted, which was good, because I didn't even know how to do that.
Yeah.
But Michael came up to me at this punk rock crash house called the Hate House,
Okay.
and he had recognized me from a ramp that he had come visit, that we helped build.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Hey man, we're putting together a band of skateboarders. It's punk rock. We need a singer.
Yeah.
Can you scream?" I said, "What?" He said, "Can you scream?" I said, "Come here." Oh, screaming in his ear. He's okay,
You got
you're
the
in.
job.
Yeah, I got the job. So, rest is history, and I
Awesome.
did. That
And
was all
those
they
guys,
wanted. I'm like, oh, good, because that's all I can do.
and those guys were fuck. I mean, when you listen to those, I've been listening to the records again the last few days, and there's some talented motherfuckers like just
Oh
playing
yeah,
that like yeah, everything about it is it's not straight up. I mean, the I guess the first EP is kind of straight up punk rock, but then once the sort of surfy instrumental and and that stuff started to come in, it's you can he's Don's really shines, and you see he still plays with you, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Me and Don are still playing together. We got our Corey Stretz has been playing with us for probably about 15 years or more.
yeah,
And he's a friggin' amazing bass player. And then
yeah,
Jamie Riedling on drums, who's just a friggin' monster.
yeah,
So so we're good on that,
yeah.
and the bass and the drums have always been, like they should be, the foundation of what we
Oh yeah,
do.
yeah,
The solid driving rhythm that's just like the motor of the
yeah.
thing,
Oh yeah,
and just to have that solid rhythm section going is what
yeah,
it's all about. And then Don can do whatever he wants to do, and I can just, move where the spirit leads me.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
I love the self-titled record. I thought the just the sound of that record is it's a weird record, and I don't think it was received well, right?
I think it was pretty good. You're talking about the one with the pipe on it?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. That was pretty good. We toured off that one a lot.
yeah. That's I saw you
And
guys on that up here with Sun City Girls and
yeah,
Graven Image, I think.
yeah, great. Where was that at? There, that.
Paradise in Boston.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah,
remember that show. I think I was late. I think I like I said, we were driving a lot,
yeah,
and I finally, like, I had some time, and I'm like, I want to go eat. So I went and ate, and I get there, and like we were supposed to start 20 minutes earlier.
right.
And like the whole band's like pissed off at me. They're getting pushing me around, and I get up on the, I'm like, dude, sorry, man, I didn't know. But that was a great show, man.
Yeah,
Boston had some great hardcore.
yeah, yeah,
I love that, man. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. And that's the thing, is like each city kind of had their own scene, and they had
yeah. Personality
their
and
own personality and their own sound
yeah,
too. But I mean, it was all punk rock, and
yeah,
you could find that common line running through there. That's just like, that self-expression, the friggin' teenage angst, to
yeah,
like fuck the system,
yeah,
whatever. I mean, all that stuff, or something totally different too.
yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
wow, that's weird. I kind of like it.
I know. And it's cool too how like most of that was all run by, fucking 17-year-old kids, between the bands,
Yeah,
the kids booking them and that kind of thing. It's just this whole world of
yeah. I mean, because it was weird back then too, because it was, everything was pretty much done by fanzine and mail.
yeah, yeah,
Like, you're not going to get somebody's phone number until you send them a couple letters, and like,
yeah,
hey, we're coming out on tour. Well, who the fuck are you? Well, we're just oh,
yeah,
okay, here's my number. So I mean, all that shit was like built really old school,
yeah,
and you don't even know till you show up what it really is going down.
yeah, yeah,
And that's kind of the thing too, is like sometimes you show up and there be 10 people,
yeah,
well, hey,
yeah,
these 10 people came out to see us,
yeah,
so I'm gonna give it my all. I don't know about you motherfuckers, but I'm gonna fucking go
yeah,
hard. So
yeah,
yeah,
definitely. Yeah, I was doing a fanzine when I was, 14, around that same year, 84. And I
yeah,
remember writing a letter to Placebo Records saying, I do a zine. If you, send me some records to review, I'll run some ads. And he used
that's
to
a good
just send me
scam. You got a
yeah,
good
yeah,
scam going there.
yeah. So I did that with Mystic Records. And I think a lot of
Yeah,
people,
yeah.
what
That's
was the
what
other
all the
one?
smart guys are doing. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But I was getting, I was into more straight up punk stuff, and I was getting like the Mighty Sphincter and Sun City Girls. It didn't, when I listen to that stuff now, I like it, but back then it wasn't,
Yeah.
I
I
wasn't
mean, yeah, it was kind of weird, it's like, it's definitely an acquired taste, I had to listen to it with an open ear. But I mean, so like when we first started, like the first 3 or 4 years, definitely the first 2 years,
Hmm.
um, nobody knew what the fuck hardcore was, you know. And
Yeah.
it's like we were getting kicked out of every club we played for life. We're never going to play there again because
Right.
we're starting fights, which is what we call dancing,
Yeah.
you know, and shit's getting broken. And well, that's because shit's near the stage, you
Right.
know. Uh, but then, you know, a couple years later, well, now that's accepted, and now everybody wants is you know, hardcore, and everybody says you got to wear boots and you got to wear
Right.
jeans and you got to wear a t-shirt
Yeah. All these
and all
rules.
this shit. You got to have short hair, and we're like, oh, that's not what punk is. You
Yeah.
know, it's like there's not like a friggin' rules to it. I
Right.
mean,
Yeah.
there's a look, but you can do whatever the fuck you want to, and
Yeah.
don't you give me shit about I'm not punk rock.
Right. Yeah.
So that's why, like, when we were touring with the Sun City Girls, that was like,
Yeah.
hey,
That's
these
punk rock.
guys are gonna fucking piss you guys
Yeah.
off, man,
Yeah.
because you think it's got to be one way, and they're just gonna go, you know. And some of it was pretty out there, but you listen to it now, and it's like, wow, okay, you
Yeah.
know.
That's kind
But
of
I
what Black
mean,
Flag did too. They would bring all those weird bands
yeah,
on
they
tour with
stole
them,
that
and
from us. We
yeah,
stole our early stuff from them, and
yeah,
then after that, they started stealing from us, which, you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
But
And you guys had your first show with them, right?
so yeah, I forget the order. I think our first show was as the Breakers was with the Crowd.
Oh, okay.
So our first show we played, we weren't JFA, we were the Breakers because
Yeah,
we break shit.
yeah, yeah,
And there's also surf is a breaker. That's a breaking
yeah,
wave.
yeah.
So, you know, and then we found out that there was another band, a hippie band in California called the Breakers, and we're all, well, we can't be confused with that fucking shit.
Right.
So,
Yeah, yeah,
we had a song called Jodie Foster's Army,
yeah,
and all our friends from the skate park, you know, we were the Breakers, but they were Jodie Foster's Army. They were the ones that were getting us kicked out of every club we played for life.
yeah.
That's what they were doing. You know, thanks
Right,
guys.
right,
But I mean, at the time, you know, we don't give a fuck.
right.
But so and then what happened was our drummer Bam Bam uh took a sheet from his mom's linen closet,
Yeah,
put it in the washing machine, put some green food dye in it, dyed it green, and
yeah.
then cut it into squares the size of bandanas.
Hmm.
Because the big thing back then was, you know, you got your steel toe engineer's boots with the buckles because you can be out there in the pit, slam
Yeah,
dance pretty hard and it's pretty
right.
rough. But then you decorate it with different color bandanas. So
Yeah.
he had took these green bandanas, and we had the song Jodie Foster's Army,
Hmm.
and he wrote JXFX triangle X
Oh, all
and
right.
put that on the bandana and handed them out
Hmm.
to all of our friends from the skate park, so that, you know, when the cops came or when the club decided that these guys are problems, they all knew they were with us.
Right, right.
Because we were the Breakers and they were Dirty Foster. This was only our first show, and it
Right,
was
right.
already lining up like that, you know. And then we find out there's this other band, and we're all, well, what should we do? Hey, let's call ourselves JFA. We already got the logo and we got the bandanas. So
There you go.
yeah, so and we got a song.
Right.
So yeah, that's how that worked. And then yeah, our first, I think, official. I'm pretty sure it was the Crowd. Then yeah, and 100%. So then our first show as JFA was with Black Flag with
Yeah.
Dez singing,
Oh,
which
nice.
was like, yeah, super good
Yeah,
and just super loud and super
yeah,
crazy and like super right up our alley.
yeah,
So that was a good kind of, you know, baptism by fire.
yeah, yeah. Were
Yeah.
bands like that coming through there at that time?
Yeah, so you know, we're pretty close to California and when we were
Yeah,
in Phoenix.
yeah,
And it's you're gonna go through Phoenix if you're going
yeah,
east, and
yeah,
everything's east to California. So
yeah,
our manager was Tony Victor,
yeah,
but he also ran the good clubs in town. So there was a place called Madison Square Garden,
yeah.
and it was a wrestling ring,
Hmm.
and the bands would and when it wasn't a wrestling ring, the bands would play in the wrestling ring.
Oh, yeah,
So, you know, you could come in, there were bleachers on both sides. So
yeah.
if people want to look at your ass and the drums, they could sit on that side.
Right. Yeah,
And then, you know, they could do the frontal view and you could come on the side. You could bounce off ropes on the ring.
Oh, that's awesome.
But yeah, that was a really cool club. You know, you could hide underneath the bleachers and do whatever you wanted to do down
Yeah,
there. You know,
yeah.
pop your head up every once in a while. Uh,
And Tony Victor was sort of a instrumental piece in that whole scene, huh? The Placebo Records was his too, right?
100%. Yeah, he started Placebo Records, and
Yeah,
I mean, you know, he was the catalyst, you know, for the scene.
yeah,
You
yeah,
can't have a scene if you don't have anywhere to play,
yeah,
and it helps to have music, you know,
yeah,
recorded
yeah,
music,
yeah,
you know. And he set it all up, and he was willing to, you
yeah,
know, do the work that no one else wanted to do to make stuff happen. And he saw something in us,
yeah,
and you know, put it out,
yeah,
and that's freaking great, man. We love Tony. We still keep in touch with him
yeah.
to this day. He's got a thing going in Phoenix right now. So his record label, as you know, was Placebo Records,
Yeah.
and that lasted pretty much through the '80s,
Hmm.
uh, and then it just got, you know, the scene kind of went all these different ways. But he has a club in Phoenix now that he calls it Club Placebo,
Oh, all right.
and what he does is he invites all these bands from back in the day,
Yeah,
small, intimate little kind of hall thing, maybe 100 people,
yeah,
and then you know they play, we play, just a one band at a time thing, and
mm.
then we do a Q&A with the audience afterwards, and he
Oh, wow.
captures it all on film, you know, just as he just wants to document the stuff
Yeah,
because, you know, it's such a big part of all of our lives, you
yeah,
know. And he, you know, he's thinking about that. It's like he's always kind of thinking more, you know, we're just like, hey, a gig, yeah, let's play. Is there beer? Okay, where's the
yeah,
beer?
yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
you know, thankfully he's got a little wider mindset than that. Like, where
Right.
is there a pool down the street? Fuck
Yeah,
sound check, man. We'll be back right when we go on
right.
noon at 12. All right, well, I'll be there at 11:45, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, so
So
yeah.
throughout music, you're still skating as much as when you were younger, um, and
I mean,
then
unfortunately, this thing called work gets in the
yeah,
way, so I'm not skating as much as I was younger, but I still want to skate as much as
yeah,
I
yeah,
was
yeah,
younger. And so, yeah,
yeah,
but I mean, I'm fitting it in where I can, and you know,
yeah,
doing what I can.
yeah,
You know, thing now is you know, there's a world class skate park right down, you know, a mile from my house, Vans Huntington Beach. They got, you know, huge combi bowl. They got uh, an Olympic whatever course, not street course, but a flow course.
yeah.
And then they got all these kids, you know, the Japanese Olympic team, whatever, you
Right.
know, you
Yeah.
got all this talent, and it's cool because like a lot of the older skaters there, you know, they're actually being coaches for these little kids, for
Oh,
these
that's
moms and
awesome.
dads that's they want their kids' dream to come true,
Yeah.
which is totally different, you know, from back then when you would show up and it's like, who the fuck are you, kid?
Right.
Not your turn. I'll
Yeah.
tell you when it's your turn. Never. You
Yeah.
know, you better not snake me, kid. I'll throw your friggin' board over the fence. You know, now it's like when I was a little kid, I was getting snaked by the big dude. Now I'm a big dude and the little kids are snaking me, and I can't
Right.
really shoot my board at them because their dad's standing right there. But sometimes I do anyways, because how else are they going to learn? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Is that localism? Is that what that
Yeah,
term
that's
was?
blatant localism. It's
Yeah.
like, you know, you don't, you know, this is our spot. You know,
Yeah.
we clean it, we
Right.
keep it. You know, we're custodians of it, even if we don't own it. We're not going to blab it to everybody in the friggin' world so that they show up and the cops come and bust it
Yeah.
and it's gone.
Right.
You know, you're coming here, you're not from here. Show a little respect, or we might have to regulate on you. And
Yeah.
that was just the way things were done.
Yeah.
You know, now that's called like hazing or bullying,
Right. Or
which it
gatekeeping.
is.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Doing that
it's
to little
yeah,
kids. Yeah.
yeah, it's done for a reason back then because I mean, you could the cops were not your friends when it came to
No.
skateboarding. You know,
No.
even just holding a skateboard, much less riding one in some someone's house that's not yours, you
Yeah.
know?
No, I know, right?
So there are certain things, you know,
Yeah.
and just the etiquette of it too. Like show some respect, man.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
you're not from here. Respect the locals, you know, give a little.
Yeah.
Don't try and snake everybody. That's not going to end well,
Yeah.
you know. And nowadays, I mean, that's kind of the pendulum's gone the other way where, you know, I'm getting snaked by like friggin' like 8-year-old kids, you know.
That's
I'm like,
awesome.
hey, you know, I can still snake them. Like I know how to actually snake people, you know,
Yeah.
pretty. I know some tricks, you know,
Yeah.
which I don't do too much, but every once in a while, I'm like,
Yeah.
hey,
Especially,
dude,
you've been skating what 15 years now, so
yeah,
you still
15,
need to, yeah.
16 now, I
Yeah,
think maybe
16 now,
now,
right? Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Um, so you ended up working at Thrasher Magazine for a while?
Yeah. So in the 90s, well, in the late 80s, hold on one second.
Yeah, yeah.
Throat's getting a little dry. So, like Phoenix, never the Interstate 10
Hmm.
stopped on the west side of Phoenix and didn't pick up till like for like 15 miles,
Yeah.
right? Forever.
Hmm.
So if you're taking the friggin' freeway, you had to get off and do surface streets for,
Yeah.
you know, a good 30 minutes or something like that or more.
Yeah.
And finally one day they said we're gonna put the freeway through. And I'm like, okay, good.
Yeah.
And but what they did was they had to close down like whole tracks, like tens of miles, um, you know, quarter mile wide tracks of homes
Yeah.
in Phoenix, which is hot and where people have swimming pools.
Yeah.
So when they did that, there were like hundreds of swimming pools, empty pools out there because you know you got to empty them because you don't want the mosquitoes to
Yeah.
breathe in them,
Yeah.
and you know, and it's a hazard if some little kid falls in there, he can drown
Yeah.
and all this stuff. So now we're just driving through neighborhoods, like looking at every
Looking.
single freaking house in that
Yeah.
neighborhood, like it's a ghost town. And like that pool, nice shape, it sucks. Nice shape, it's a shitty shape, and it sucks. You know, and like this, what about this fucking? You know, so we were like had just a bone. And there were hundreds of pools, empty
Yeah.
pools. And me and my crew, we had that shit on lock.
Yeah.
We knew where every single one was, and then when that somebody's got a foreclosure on
Hmm.
their house, they would put that in the newspaper,
Yeah.
and then we would like this house is abandoned, and we're okay. We're gonna drive over. So every week
Right,
we're like
right.
looking. So we had it on. We had like giant pipes underneath the where they put the freeways in. They were putting in 20-foot pipes for the runoff,
Yeah.
you know. So we're just like, yeah. And my crew were a bunch of hard chargers, man,
Yeah.
and you know, hard drinkers too.
Right.
um and then I got out, you know, a call from, I've been writing for Thrasher for a while, Don and written, taking photos,
Yeah.
and Michael too. And they say, hey, we need a staff writer. You want to come work for Thrasher? You want to move out to San Francisco? I'm all, sounds good, but you know, I got all these pools,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
got these pipes, and I got this crew that's just barely hanging on
Right.
with all the shit, you know, all the crazy shit they're doing and staying this side of, you know, getting busted because
Yeah.
they drink so much, you know,
Right.
like this side of a DUI because I'm like, dude, you're not
Yeah.
driving home tonight, okay? We're just staying over here. I'm like, I don't know. And
Yeah.
then finally, like, I'm all, well, you know, this is a once in a lifetime chance. So,
Yeah.
you know, I went and worked for Thrasher for about 7 years, started out as a staff writer.
Yeah.
And they let me start writing the music column.
Oh,
And
nice.
then that went pretty good. And
Yeah.
like they only gave me one page. And
Right.
I'd be like, okay, I want to do a column on, I don't know, surf music. So I interviewed 20 of the best surf, like punk surf bands or whatever I could
Yeah.
find, and fit them into like 200 words. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And they're like,
Right.
hey, there's this thing called grunge coming out.
Yeah.
Let's see, who are some of these bands? What's this? Mudhoney. Uh, what else? Who was out there? Mm, Shoot, I can't remember. You know,
Yeah.
Nirvana, whatever.
Right.
This other guy,
Soundgarden
this
and
Soundgarden. Yeah, I interviewed all these guys, and like if you called up the record company and you said you were Thrasher Magazine, they'd say, "Yes,
Yeah.
sir, Mr. Brandon. What
Yeah.
can we get for you? Would you like a
Right.
limo to drive you to the interview? No, I'm doing it here, you know." And
Yeah.
so they'd set these up because back then, like Thrasher, the skateboarders were on top of what the newest thing was going on.
Yeah.
You know, like we knew what was cool because we could feel it, and then everyone else, like a year or so later, would pick up on it.
Followed.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So I would do these interviews with Kim from Soundgarden, whatever, and I'd end up only having enough room to give them like two sentences each,
Right.
but they were
Yeah.
the best sentences,
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And like Tom Waits, I talked to Tom Waits for
Oh wow.
3 hours.
How was that?
That was great because
Yeah.
I had done my homework, and you know I had learned with Mr. Huxtable,
Yeah.
uh, when he was actually a jazz player. The guy, I forget his name, but he was a total jerk to me
Yeah.
when I interviewed him for this other magazine because I didn't. He mentioned some random jazz thing, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, who's that? Tell me about that. That sounds
Right.
interesting." You don't know this random jazz dude? What the fuck were you for? And he hung up on me. That
Oh
freaking
jeez.
Bill Cosby show's grandpa, man. Like called me an asshole. I'm like, fuck
Right.
you. So, but for Tom, I did my research, and
Yeah.
his first records, he was playing with an orchestra. It was totally
Yeah.
different than what he's known for.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he had just come out with the Earth Dies Screaming, where he's
Oh
like
yeah.
doing all, beating on the side of the garage door and
Right. And
stuff.
with the growly voice and
Yeah. So
yeah.
Tom, like, what? So I was listening to your early stuff, and you got a full orchestra now, but now the Earth Dies Screaming. He's like, "Oh yeah, Brian, I like that you know where I'm coming from. I play I play the piano till my fingers bleed. I play the drums till my neck hurts. And that's what I'm about. Yeah, fuck, I get it, man. I'm the same way, but with skateboard, yeah." And so we talked for 3 hours, and then he I said thank you, all this stuff, and then I hung up. I'm all, fuck, 3 hours of tape I got to listen to
Yeah, to like pull
type up
something out.
all this shit,
Yeah.
right? It was a good interview. And then phone rings, and it's a receptionist. Yell, "Brian, yeah." I'm like, "Yeah." He's on this. Mr. Tom Waits wants to talk to you. I'm all, "Okay, put him through."
Yeah.
And so he called back after 3 hours. He's like, "Yeah, Brian, I just want to, I didn't mention I used to be a skateboarder myself." When I was a little kid, in grade school, and all the neighbor kids, we get it together and we ride down the hill, and we love to ride down the hill, and right down that bottom of that hill, and the beauty of the curve, there's this one guy that lived there, and his name was Mr. Stitches. And every time we skateboarded by, he'd come out and yell at us and tell us we were going to hell and we're hoodlums and we're gonna go to jail. And we would throw shit at him. We'd say, "Fuck you, Mr. Stitches," and we would do mean stuff to him. And we just keep skating down that hill because we love the freedom of skateboarding, Brian. I'm like, "Yeah, man, I can dig it." And he's like, "Yeah, but then one day Mr. Stitches died, and all the moms around the whole neighborhood, they pointed to us kids and they said, 'You kids killed Mr. Stitches with your meanness and your talking back to him and your skateboarding. His blood is on you. You killed Mr. Stitches. You skateboard in front of his house all the time.' And Brian, I want to say right now in Thrasher Magazine, we didn't kill Mr. Stitches."
That's awesome. He called back to fucking tell you that.
I'm like, "Hey man, Tom, I know you did it, brother. You just want to fucking skate, dog. I get it." I'm with you, man. Yeah, fuck those old people.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was fucking great, man. And unfortunately, when I left Thrasher, I left all the tapes there.
Oh yeah.
They just probably tossed them. But
Yeah. Yeah.
I could call up anybody. I interviewed Carlos Santana at his
Oh wow.
house.
How was that?
The Damned.
Yeah.
I was into Swerve Driver a lot, not fucking Screwdriver though,
Yeah. Yeah.
asshole.
Swerve
But
Driver's
Swerve
great, man.
Driver, early Swerve Driver.
Yeah, Rays and the
Yeah, Raised
second
and
record.
the second record. Yeah, those are the good ones.
Yeah.
And all that shit. I could just call anybody, and because it's Thrasher Magazine. Yeah,
Yeah.
the publicist. Yeah, we want to get him in there, man. We sell some records. I don't know about that, but I can do an interview with them.
Yeah. 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 Were you doing any music at that point in the 90s? Was JFA
Yeah,
kind
we
of?
were still playing, but I mean, I was living in San Francisco, and at that time, the band was down in California.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm just a singer. Like, as long as I can remember the words, which hit or miss anyway, you know, as long as the band is good.
Yeah. If the
But
crowd
no,
knows the
it's
lyrics, they help too.
yeah, yeah. But no, we kept on playing. You know, we've been playing since 1981. I mean, we've
Wow.
had some little ups and downs and
Yeah,
stuff like
of
that. Like I
course.
say, it's about like 15 years or something, man.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Uh, but yeah, no, just doing it. We said we'd keep doing it till it's not fun anymore, and they're still having fun. You know.
Yeah.
Cleopatra Records has been doing these punk rock uh, cover albums
Oh
of
yeah.
yeah. So like of like classic rock things. So the first one they did was a Pink Floyd
Oh
album.
yeah,
They
you
called
guys
it
did Money, right? Yeah.
yeah. They
Yeah.
call it Punk Floyd, right?
Yeah.
And we're like, all right, what song should we do? And Don, Don's a guitar player. He's got 90% of the vote. So
Yeah.
let's do Money. And I'm all Money. I mean, fuck, dude, it's Pink Floyd. There's all kinds of shit we could do, but
Yeah.
Money's kind of generic, And, I want to do Money. And so we did it, and he learned the guitar solo note for note, and I
Yeah.
was going to do that with the keyboard, but not if you're going to do that. So I got to figure out something different. So I'm all, well, wait, there's another song called Money that the Flying Lizards did, and I think
Yeah.
some '50s guy wrote it. So I'll play that in the middle with a what's a good organ sound? Oh yeah, John Lord, Deep Purple.
Yeah.
So so we did that,
Yeah.
and then the next one was Punk It Up,
Yeah.
like pump for the Stones.
Oh
And
yeah,
we're
yeah.
all, oh yeah, the Stones, man. What song should we do? There's so many good Stone songs, and Don's all Midnight Rambler, all, oh, Midnight Rambler, dude. Come on, there's a song, you
Yeah.
know, and damn if that didn't come out so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
I was like so happy with
Yeah.
that one.
I like
Um,
you guys did My Wife by The Who.
yeah,
I
we did
love
My Wife by The
yeah.
Who. That wasn't, maybe they'll do a Who one and we'll just do that same song. I don't know. That was before they were doing that. And then the last one, or the most recent one, hopefully it's not the last one that Cleopatra did, was a Beatles one. I don't know what they called it.
Yeah.
But by the time we got our choice of songs, there wasn't enough left, but we're all Ticket to Ride,
Oh
it's
yeah, yeah.
ride, skateboard,
Yeah.
ticket. I don't know about
Ride.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a lot of tickets riding.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we're just having fun with that stuff now too,
Yeah.
and I'm starting up a new band too with Steve Alba
Oh
and
wow.
our drummer Jamie Reedling and JFA, who's just friggin' monster
Yeah.
drummer. Like he's right there with like Bam Bam, rest in peace. Bam
Nice.
passed away about a year ago, but I mean he's right there.
Yeah.
And so we're doing some stuff. We I, I did one song under the name we're using, which is the Carve Liners, about 2 years ago.
Hmm.
Because I always wanted to do a Christmas song.
Yeah.
So I wrote one called Riding with Santa.
Nice.
And it's about, it's Christmas Eve, and I'm in the sleigh with Santa,
Yeah.
and Rudolph's in the front, and we're looking for empty pools. Right? We're not
Nice.
looking for little kids or Christmas
Chimneys.
trees. We're
Yeah.
fucking yeah. We're looking for little pool or good pools, and we can choose all the ones we want because we can see them.
Yeah.
And Rudolph is lighting up the bowl in the middle of the night so that we can skate the thing. You
Yeah.
see, yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
so put that on your Christmas list, people. Let's get
Yeah.
that in rotation because it hasn't really taken off like I wanted it to, but it's
Yeah.
gonna. And then so that's what we're going to call the side project I'm doing now is the carb liner. So
Nice.
yeah, and I'm kind of excited to do something a little different,
Yeah. Yeah.
but the same. A lot of songs are about skateboarding.
Yeah.
Go figure.
Yeah.
And then Salba, of course. I mean, I don't know if you like Salba's been in a few bands.
Yeah.
Screaming Lord Salba and his Heavy Friends,
Yeah.
the Flamethrowers, Powerflex 5, and he's just a super great guitar player,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
So I'm really stoked to be playing. And of course, me and him have been skating forever together.
Yeah.
He
That's
used to come
awesome.
out to Phoenix for the pipes and the pools.
Yeah.
and everything. And I'd come out to the Badlands, skate with him, and
Hmm.
he would take me to like 6 pools, and the first 5 of them sucked. I'm all,
Right.
dude, why don't we just go to this one here at the end?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not spoiled. I don't fuck around with shitty pools, bro. I got a life
You're
I'm living here,
spoiled.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to like do something where like if you go over the light, it's like some kind of friggin', you know, completion thing. I want to grind the fuck out of that shit, dude.
Yeah, yeah.
But no, bro, this one, the history of this one, I'm on, fuck the history, dude. Let's go skate some good shit. So
Yeah.
that's about the only thing we disagreed on. He's you know, but he's been skate pool. That dude's been skating since he was 16. He's been
Yeah.
a pro skater, and that's
Yeah.
all he's ever done. I mean,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
talk about living the life and just blood, sweat, and tears. And
Right.
so, I mean, he's still doing the same thing. I mean, yeah, he started when he was like 15. I mean, he's like 26 now,
Yeah.
and he's just skateboarding pools, playing music. I
Yeah.
mean, hey,
He's got the
you know,
drive.
I mean, other people that grew up with him, they're like in their like late 50s, 60s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they got old and started just all caring about jobs and bullshit.
Yeah.
Him
Yeah.
and I, we're still skating. We're like,
Yeah.
in our 20s, motherfuckers. So,
Yeah. You've always had like this drive and just sort of discipline, and you joined the Navy. That's right? After
yeah,
after 9/11?
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, so, I was sleeping late as I do.
Yeah.
And, my wife woke me up at like 6 something, saying the friggin', the Twin Towers, had just been hit and
Yeah.
they're on fire, the World Trade Center.
Yeah.
Well, what the fuck? And so like she dragged me out of bed, which now I'm already pissed off because I got
Yeah.
dragged out of bed.
Right.
And then I find out that some terrorists just killed thousands of people.
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
really kind of fucking pissed.
Yeah.
And so I drove around for a while with a flag on my car, wanted to show my support and be
Yeah.
patriotic. And like, you know what? If I want to do something, it's going to be more than just like a performative. Here's the flag thing. Not that there's anything wrong with that,
Right.
but I wanted to do something.
Mm.
So I joined the Navy Reserve, and I've been in for 24 years. So
Yeah.
yeah, I joined when I was 2 years old.
Yeah.
But it's been great, man. I
Yeah.
mean, it's doing meaningful stuff, and I
Yeah.
mean, the military is the ultimate meritocracy. I know
Yeah.
you hear a bunch of stuff about DEI and stuff.
Right.
That shit doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It matters just like, can you do your job?
Yeah.
Are you a stand-up person? Do you admit when you're wrong? Do you help
Yeah.
people out when they need it?
That's what it's
And
all
and
about.
that's what I like about it. And that's what it's always been,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
every new administration, whether it's the administration of the who's in charge of the unit
Yeah.
or who's in charge of the fleet or who's in charge of all this stuff, they always want to tweak stuff.
Hmm.
But I mean, what it really comes down to is like, do you know your job?
Yeah.
And, do you care about your people? Right?
Yeah.
Like that's, to me, that's the most important thing, right? Because if you
Yeah.
don't care about your people, you're not taking care of your people,
Yeah.
then you're not a good leader,
Right. Yeah.
and if shit starts, people start shooting at us, we're going to need those people.
Yeah.
We need
Exactly.
them to be trained up and doing their job. I
Yeah.
did some time over in Afghanistan, and
Hmm.
worked with some really good people from all walks of life, from all kinds of, from like the French to the Italians to the Serbians
Yeah.
to the British, we had some Afghani interpreters and all that stuff, and
Yeah.
it's like, people of like minds working together. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
what you look like or,
Right.
what God you pray to or
Yeah.
don't,
Where you're
I don't
from, or
care. Yeah. It's like, man, if you're a good person and you're, willing to stand up and
yeah.
fight for what's right, then let's go, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's,
Yeah.
same thing. It's kind of a punk rock attitude.
Yeah. I know. Why'd you choose the Navy of the military?
Well, because when I was younger, my dad and I used to watch a bunch of like Victory at Sea.
Oh, all right. Nice. Yeah.
Remember that,
Yeah.
just that's the old black and white
Yeah.
footage of World War II. And,
Yeah.
it just kind of spoke to me. I'm a surfer, I
Yeah.
like the water.
Hmm.
It's good.
Yeah.
It just made sense. And there's a Navy base right down the street
Yeah.
from my house too. So yeah.
Nice. You take your skateboard on the ship ever?
Not on the ship. The decks of the ship have this not stuff called non-skid, which is pretty rough.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when I was in Afghanistan, I got a board sent out to me, and I made friends with the commander of the Afghan base.
Yeah.
Drank my 3 cups of tea on the regular with him, and you know, right before I was ready to ship out, there was a nice little bank outside this the Afghani barracks,
Hmm.
and like I said again, you talk to people, you be real with them, even if you don't speak the same friggin' language, you can
Yeah.
see it in each other's eyes,
Oh
and
yeah.
I had my interpreter let him know I'd like to go skateboarding before I leave.
Yeah.
And so we went out in our trucks. We got a guy with a friggin' 50 caliber on the friggin' back of this friggin' Toyota because it wasn't the best neighborhood.
Right.
Because he took me up to the top of this hill.
Yeah.
I was telling him the bank outside the friggin' barracks, and so he took me to the hill. Lost in translation. But
Right.
now I'm on
Right.
top of this big ass hill. I got like a guy, friggin' vehicle with a 50 cal, and I got a, up armored Humvee behind me, and okay, all right, let's go. So I start bombing this hill, and I'm going past all these blown out tanks and shit. And
Yeah.
guys like got a camera guy who's because had a film guy who just that's what he does. And it was
Right.
pretty cool.
That's crazy.
Went down that thing, and then hey, by the way, there's this. Remember I was telling you about the barracks? They got a little bank thing, and so we went over there and skated that. I ate shit. It was funny. Coming down pretty like at a weird angle, and I friggin' fell, and I'm like sliding down on my friggin' 9 millimeter.
Yeah. Oh jeez.
It's like kind of like a knee pad, like
The sparking.
yeah. It was okay. I'm like, oh shit, is it okay? Yeah, that's okay. All right, I'm okay. But yeah, good time, man. Good people, and
Yeah.
it's sad that shit all went back to the Taliban. Like
Yeah.
there's
I
some
know.
fucked up. Like any kind of like religion thing taken too far. I mean, I think that's why we have the separation of church and state.
Yeah, of course.
It is that like hey, let people be who they are. Don't tell them something just because it's what you believe. They
Yeah.
have a right to believe what they want to. You don't
Yeah.
throw friggin' acid in little girls' faces because they're
Right.
going to school.
Yeah. It's fucked up.
Yeah, or whatever. So I was, I thought we did some good work there, and
Yeah.
unfortunately, it went back to them, and that's
Yeah.
just history is like works in
Right.
circles.
It's a circle. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, for that, while we were there, we were doing the best we could, and that's all you
Yeah.
could do. You
Yeah.
know.
And touring in bands, is it, as a kid, must have prepared you at least for just being open-minded and meeting, people from different, areas, like you were talking earlier, like all the
Yeah,
different, cities around the country, just different personalities. And so that must have at least helped a little with, just how you
definitely.
are as a
Yeah.
person.
Yeah, I mean, if someone's opening their heart to you and offering you food or whatever, or if they
Yeah.
need something, it's like, the right thing to do is help them out, and
Yeah.
like put your little petty differences aside. Well, oh, wait a second. This dude writes trackers? Hell no. Which was a thing for us for
Yeah.
a while, but
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
we got past that, like, yeah, I guess you cool,
You're all
whatever,
right for
man.
it.
Yeah.
You guys had a little renew in the band when the Tony Hawk games came out. The soundtrack had what? They have Beach Blanket
Bong out,
Bingo,
yeah,
Bong
Beach
Out.
Break
Yeah,
Bong,
yeah,
which is funny because they beeped that part of it out.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But he's got a new one coming out pretty soon, and they're going to use Beach Blanket on that, and they're not going to. We said, are you going to bleep it out? Because we don't know if we're going to sign this paper.
Right.
No, no, we're not going to bleep anything out. So
Yeah.
that's going to actually be my new band, Carveliner's first gig.
Oh,
Is
nice.
we're going to play with Tony Alva's band,
Yeah.
um, and this band called the Downhill Jam,
Hmm.
who are headlining, and they do all covers of the songs that are on the Tony Hawk video games.
Oh, that's awesome. Nice.
Yeah, so like
Yeah.
so all the geeks that just all they do is play games,
Yeah.
they know
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
songs
Oh, yeah.
and they love those songs.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that'll be interesting. Not that there's anything wrong with being a geek, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so that'll be interesting, you know, because we'll be playing like original stuff, and we'll see how it goes over. But
Yeah.
should be fun,
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
As long
So
as it's
that'll
still
be
fun.
like in July. So we got a little time on it. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, man, I'm glad you're still out there doing all this, and it's a testament to just your character that you're still happy to do this stuff and get on the skateboard when you still can, and live your life and do what you want. It's great, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's what we should all do. I mean, I think when stop yourself from doing stuff that is really important to you, you lose part of yourself,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I think as you get older, you naturally don't have the same drive, like, I mean, you're a little more protective of, well, should I just acid drop into that 15-foot deep pool, or should
Right.
I start at the bottom?
Yeah.
When a lot of times, if you got the attitude like, hey, I'm just gonna go and I know I'm gonna make it,
Yeah.
that's a lot better than I don't know, I don't know, I don't know.
Yeah, of course.
It's kind of fun. Like that's why the little kids are ripping so hard, because they don't have any
Right.
fear. Like you
Yeah.
got nothing to fear but fear itself, man.
Yeah.
You know. So I do have to keep pushing myself on that stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's actually safer to be balls out sometime.
Yeah.
I really think that, and I just got to keep the balls knob twisting it to the
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, you want to get home every night,
Yeah, well, that's the thing. If you have the confidence to do something, that's better than like being all,
Right.
that's like you're not even really on top of the thing.
Yeah.
So, because I think that the mind is a very powerful thing, right? Like if you put your mind to something, you could pretty much do whatever you want. But if
Yeah.
you're hesitant and don't trust yourself, then that opens up a lot of room for error,
Yeah.
stuff goes sideways. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
But I surf too, so surfing's good too. I like that. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
Well, I appreciate you doing this for me, man. It's
Hey,
been
anytime, man.
yeah,
I really appreciate it. Like,
yeah.
send me the link. I
I will.
want to like
I
I'll
will.
subscribe and check
Yeah.
your stuff out, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like what you're putting down, brother.
Thanks, man. You
Yeah.
have a good night, Brian.
All right. Take
All right.
care and keep in
Thanks.
touch. All right. All
Yeah.
right. See you later.
Thanks.
Bye.